Hey y'all, come look at this.
Gibby, whippy. I pull up in a.
And I say, what's up, Goblin Nation? It's Jibrian, and welcome back to the Goblin Show. Happy to see you here. We got a great video for you guys today. It's been a dry week for Rell, but when has that ever stopped me from uploading? Seriously, I upload once a week, so subscribe to get your fill of cutting-edge content. Now, there are a lot of ideas about how Rell is going to be played, and no one knows for sure how the game is going to be at the start. Well, no one except me. Now, you see, I'm one of the top Rell researchers, and after a lot of digging, I came up with what I believe is a definitive beginning of Rell. Keep in mind that this is my personal theory, but only time will tell how close to the truth I actually am. So we recently cleaned up the server, so if you got kicked, feel free to join the server below. This one is for suggestions, and below that, if you're still looking for a crew to join, our fleet Discord is below. I was gonna say this might be a little confusing, but if you think this is confusing, then maybe we're better off without you in our fleet. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, buckle in because delicious times are ahead of you. Do any of you guys remember that old cutscene that leaked a long time ago? The very same one that's playing in the background right now. Now, it's been so long that I wouldn't be surprised if you've forgotten about it, but this is a cutscene that leaked forever ago that made the Rell Bros incredibly mad. Now, I personally have always believed that this is the intro cutscene to the game, which would be another reason that they'd be especially mad because it's the first thing you see and it's already spoiled. One of the major reasons I think this is the intro cutscene is, just think about a game like Rell is, when would they have time to put a cutscene, you know what I mean? Like, you're not doing story quests and then getting a cutscene, it's not that kind of game. The way they've scripted the scene, it works as a really good introduction to the way the game is. Even the way the cutscene starts is kind of an homage to One Piece if you think about it. He starts in a barrel just like Luffy did in the first episode of One Piece. Oh, and then if you watch the ending of the cutscene, he's jumping off the boat, which would very easily lead to a scene where he washes up on the beach. Perfect for a character introduction. Now, you might be wondering, how did we get on the boat to begin with? Well, would you look at the character customization? You're on the boat. Now, do you think as soon as you finish complete, it'll show you jumping into a barrel? Maybe. That part's unsure. After you wash up on the beach, I think you'll have to make your way to town. This island will probably end up being this game's version of the starter island, where it'll probably have like a small marine outpost, some shops, with like starting equipment, that kind of thing. Now, I don't think you'll be able to join the Marines at the outpost, but I think instead they'll tell you to head towards headquarters, which will be its own island, like they showed off later in movie 1. Personally, I think this makes more sense because if they had the Marine headquarters on the starting island, it would just be like a Marine island, and I think they wanted to leave it kind of neutral. On the other hand, pirates don't actually have a faction the same way Marines do. Like, they're not considered an organization. So I think you would get the pirate role when you finally equip like a pirate flag, or maybe you just make your crew. We don't know if it'll cost Robux or anything, I doubt it. Another important thing I should note is this boss fight that they showed off recently. Now, the fight itself doesn't actually matter for my theory, but if you look at the bar, it's Rell's bar, which is actually from almost a year ago when they showed it off for the first time. So you might be saying, how is this on the starter island if it's just sitting there on the base plate? Like, does that mean it's incomplete? Well, you can actually see from the original image that it is on the island. You can see in the background, there's like the tower, that you can see the windmill thing. Now, do you know where else there's a lot of windmills? That's right. From movie 1, the island they are showing off, it is my belief that this is actually the starting island. And to further back up my point, with how many times they've shown Rell's bar, I think they're trying to make it like an iconic location, somewhere you think of when you think of Rell. And what would be more iconic than having it at the start of every player's journey? Now, maybe there are a lot of bars with similar names, like it's a chain, like McDonald's is everywhere, and it could be something like that, just so they don't have to keep coming up with new names. But that doesn't really, take away from my argument at all. Because I still think you're gonna go to the starting island, you're gonna walk into town, you're gonna walk into Rell's bar, and you're gonna immediately get kicked out by this guy as your tutorial into combat. Now, from what we've seen, the island they showed off is actually pretty huge. Now, we don't know if they're all gonna be this big, but I think that the reason that has so much like green area with like creatures is to help you get a feel for gathering materials. So maybe there's some low level guys that you can practice fighting. When they were showing off this area, they actually showed a T-Rex in the background, so maybe that's the hardest thing that spawns on this island. Now, I'd say the weirdest thing about this island that might discredit my theory is that you see the path they're walking on, you can see that gate there, and if you look, you can almost see what looks like Dressrosa, kind of city-like buildings, and like the way the design is really reminiscent of Dressrosa. It kind of reminds me of this photo, if I'm being honest. Oh, and do you guys remember this photo? Only the first island man? No one really knew what it meant. No one knows what it means even now. Well, my theory is that he's saying that this is the water outside the first island. That would mean the caption actually means, this is only the first island, man. Like, look at how good it is, and it's only the first one. They only get better from here. The main reason I think this is the case is because there's no way they're doing the entire ocean. A lot of people think they're doing depth all the way to 7 in like the entire ocean, but that's too much like content, you know what I mean? They would have to map out the entire ocean. So I think there'll actually be something like diving spots around every island, or maybe in the middle of the ocean, where you can suddenly go deeper and they actually have it fully designed down there, kind of like a dungeon. Yes, you heard it here first folks, water dungeons, confirmed by Gibrian, completely backed up by evidence and not just my wild guess, you know. Oh, and did you guys see this in the Rellseas Discord? It says, if you try to Roblox cheese any R6 boss / NPC by staying in the air, this will happen. And then here's the footage. Now, maybe I'm an idiot, but I think obviously Roblox cheese is their way of saying hackers. You know, like you ever load into blocks for it and then just see people flying around insta-killing enemies? I think they made like a weird like auto detection where it can tell if you're in the air too long, and then it'll just slam you to the ground. I wonder if they tested it with actual hacks, you know what I mean, like the flying thing, because what's to stop them the second they're done getting slammed to just immediately teleport away? Because whenever they're doing that hacking stuff, they're just teleporting around basically, or moving so fast that it's basically teleporting. They call it Roblox cheese, so it's got to be hacking, otherwise I don't know what they would be talking about. They even say not saying game names, because I guess they don't want the drama, but they're definitely referring to like Blox Fruit. Man, do you know how many times I had to hop servers because my enemies are getting insta-killed by someone that's just teleporting through walls and stuff? It's so annoying. And that's all I have for the theory. Let me know if you guys found any holes in my logic. There might be some plot holes, you know, like maybe there's evidence that would go against my theory, but, you know, who knows? I'm not sure yet. When I started this video, I actually didn't have this many points of my argument, but the more I started looking at it while, you know, putting the video together, I kind of realized a lot of it does line up in a weird way. I think a fear of mine right now is that Rellseas actually just copy-paste a lot of their designs, like the windmills, for example. Maybe every town has a lot of windmills and my argument's really bad. Obviously, I'd have no way of knowing that, and it would also be kind of lame if every town looks the same, so hopefully islands at least have distinct like visuals and aesthetics. So basically I'm saying if any part of this theory is wrong, it's their fault, not mine, and also they probably changed it just to avoid giving me clout, because I'd get a lot of clout if I guessed right, you know, in the Rellseas community. I'm kind of a pillar of the Rellseas community. I don't know if you've ever heard. And that's all I really have to say on the matter, so if you got this far in the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you next time with another video. Sorry this one's a little shorter, I just didn't want to drag it out and come up with like some BS, you know? Oh, and shout out to Coco from the Discord. If you're seeing this, we miss you. Bye bye.
Like you are fat tears, like